Can a business charge a credit card fee? Good question, right? That fee is what some people across the country are seeing on their bills. It's all thanks to a new rule. So here to talk about all of that and so much more is Amanda Webster. She's the COO of Fund and Grow. All right, Amanda, first off, explain the credit card processing fees. What are they?
So basically, every time that a business runs a credit card transaction, they're charged a fee, right? There's a merchant charge for that. So the business has to pay that no matter what's happening. That's a fee that's for every single charge. So it is a business expense for the business owner. But as you just kind of alluded to, a lot of times it's passed to the consumer.
Yeah, and you kind of think of it as a convenience charge, I guess, so you don't have to carry the cash around, I imagine, so we like, whatever. But it could actually add up a lot. So what does that really mean to the average consumer?
Well, basically, for small businesses, you're looking at sometimes up to 5, 6% for these fees that they're being charged. And if they're passing that on to you on top of sales tax, on top of anything else that's going on, that's going to add up really quick. So you need to be, as a consumer, aware of that convenience fee. That's what
Yeah.
a lot of times they do call it, but it's a processing fee for the owner of the business.
Well, it's weird because there's some businesses that choose to charge customers extra for paying a credit card and then some that don't. Why is that?
So it has to do a lot of times with volume, right? So the larger volume you do with credit card transactions, the less the fee. So in a smaller business, they may not be able to absorb it or haven't really factored that in yet. Or think of like nonprofits or governmental
Okay.
agencies where they don't have the ability to budget that in.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, let's talk about legality. Are there any legal restrictions or maybe even some guidelines that businesses have to follow when they do add those fees?
Yeah. So to be really compliant, you have to fully disclose prior to the transaction actually taking place. So on the page or at the store, it has to be fully disclosed that there's that convenience fee for using that credit card. And sometimes even a different fee for using a debit card. Those also
Okay,
have
yeah.
fees sometimes for this. But you also need to make sure you have an alternative source to collect payment. So either collecting cash or check without the fee. That's the best way to stay compliant is to not force the consumer to have to pay the fee because there is no other alternative.
You had mentioned this that some do, some don't. It's the size of the business. How do credit card fees actually affect the small businesses compared to the larger companies?
Right. If you look at a big box store, say like Walmart, they're processing millions of dollars a day in credit card transactions. So their processing fee is probably, I don't know, 1%, 2%, something minimal that they can put in their bottom line without an issue.
Hmm.
Small businesses, they get hurt with all types of things. So this is just one extra expense they sometimes can't do. Here at Fund and Grow, we don't charge it to the consumer at the time of purchase, but we do disclose to them that if they refund, we will deduct it out of the refund. So
Okay.
sometimes it's kind of a middle road, and that's how we handle it. If they stay with us, we absorb that charge.
It makes a lot of sense. I'm sure there's people out there that have small businesses. What strategies can they use so they can help minimize the costs and not passing that along?
Unfortunately, usually it has to do with building into the pricing, right? Building it into the cost of the product or service to be able to cover that expense and knowing what that's going to be. So it's a lot of projections onto their budgeting or doing a kind of a middle of the road like we do. We don't charge it to consumer, but we do charge it if it's a refund. So there's a lot of different ways that you
Yeah.
can do it to try to not cost too much money, but also trying to be there for the consumer.
Hey, man, I notice a lot of times you go to small business, they go, you have to have a certain amount in order to use your credit card. Is it a flat rate or is it a percentage of whatever you spend? And does it make it worthwhile for that small business to say, look, I need at least $10. You just spend at least $10 so that I'm not getting hit with fees as well? Is that the case?
There's different merchant accounts have different fees and
Oh, okay.
structures, but usually it does have to do with if they hit a certain amount, they'll spend less on that
I see.
transaction. So that's typically why you'll see those fees like
All
that.
right, makes a lot of sense there. It's something to think about. Plus, you're paying the interest fees on your credit card too. So a lot of charges they could add up as well. Now, if you want more information on how to earn and use business credit, you can check out fundandgrow.com. Head there anytime. Get all that info. Amanda always has great information here on our show for Financially Speaking. We got more Daily Flash coming up right around the corner. If you go anywhere, you miss out on it. So stick around. You're watching Daily Flash.